Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, a daily podcast devoted to spirituality and self-help. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk to you about the power of your own mind and your own thoughts. I know that you probably heard that your thoughts are powerful before, but I wonder if you realize just exactly how powerful they truly are. We have the ability to shape our reality by what we think and what we feel. And many of us, on a day-to-day basis, shape our reality in such a way that we make the prognosis for a bright future very dim. Because we allow fear to step in and we let our minds wander. And you know what happens when you do that? You think of every possible scenario that could go wrong and how this could end up badly for you. And when we do that, and it's natural to do that, that's very, very normal. It's the human thing to do. Our human brains have been conditioned to protect us by thinking of all of the possible ways something could go wrong. And again, it is a method of protection. The problem with it is it's not really keeping us safe, it's keeping us stuck. Because when we allow fear to step in and say, well, if I do this, this might happen. Or if I say that, this person may do this. It keeps us from even trying whatever it is that we're attempting to do. Because the more you think about it, the more fearful you get, the more possible outcomes you come up with. And so you don't even bother to try. I think about all of the times in my life when I allowed my thoughts to take over and I created a scenario in my mind that was worst case scenario. Something horrible was going to happen if I did whatever it was I wanted to do. And in the end, nothing that I thought would happen happened. I created anxiety for myself over nothing. And I probably called in elements and things that happened that maybe wouldn't have had I not thought about it. And in those times when I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to think about it, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to jump in head first. And I'll think about things later. Those are actually the times for me where things were better. Things like me deciding that I was going to go ahead and take a spiritual boot camp class. There was a time when I would have said, oh, I can't spend $100 on myself. I can't do this because that's selfish and I need to spend the money on my children, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. And at that point in my life, I remember thinking, I just need answers. I need help, and I know that if I were going to counseling, I would have spent this on 2 visits, so it would be the same as going twice. So I didn't do the whole what if. Instead, I just decided I have to do something. So I just leapt and I just paid for it. And it changed my entire life. I can't even explain how it changed my entire life. And it was the basis for what I did with a purposeful pilgrimage. I made the same kind of program because I thought it was so amazing and incredible that more people needed to do this. It changed my thought process, my mindset. It changed everything I do because it changed the way that I even get up in the morning. And I've talked about this before, that when you rise out of bed every day, you need to be mindful about what you do. Because most of us, we look at the alarm clock, we hit snooze 50 times, and we curse the world that we have to get out of our warm, comfy bed, and then we have to face our reality, which is work, and all of our responsibilities. That's how we rise. And it sets a tone. It sets a tone for a day where you're not in the best mood. You're allowing the negative energy and negative thoughts to come in. And negativity breeds more negativity. So you're probably attracting people to you who are also crabby and don't want to be there and are going to complain. And it's just a breeding ground. In fact, I remember whenever I was studying to be a teacher, they told us stay away from the teacher's lounge. Because as a first-year teacher, you're so happy and optimistic, and then you go in the teacher's lounge, and the veteran teachers, some of them, are in there griping and complaining, and so that negativity rubs off on you. And it's true. It does work that way. But when I took this program, I learned how important it was to wake up each day with a positive attitude. And it's hard to do when you're first waking up because we're not even really fully conscious, but it is possible. It's possible that the first thing that you do instead of hitting the snooze button is you list things you're grateful for and list all the ways your day is going to be amazing because you're setting an intention. And I talked yesterday on the podcast about how important it was to set intentions, but even little ones like today is going to be an awesome day. Amazing things are going to happen to me today. That's setting an intention. And when you do that, it's like you're telling not only yourself, but the universe, this is what I expect. And I'm not settling for less than that. And I love that because it really does determine the kind of day that you'll have. At least it does for me. And the same thing with going to bed at night, too. Usually I would just watch TV until I fell asleep, and there's no telling what I would end up watching before bed. You know, whatever I had DVR'd, so it could have been like a scary movie, or it could have been a comedy, and anything in between, who knows? It was just whatever I happened to be watching. Well, imagine that's the last thing that you're seeing before you go to bed. It doesn't necessarily assure that you're going to have a restful sleep. But if you do a little quick meditation before bed and you set the intention that, yes, I'm going to get a nice, restful sleep and I'm going to wake up feeling refreshed, then that's what you do. You do your little meditation and you feel so much better. It's like letting go of all of the baggage from the day, because no matter how much you want to set intentions and have good days, we are human and things will happen to us because we're supposed to encounter difficult situations. Like, we're supposed to. It teaches us lessons. So you're not going to get through an entire day where something might not happen to you that, you weren't expecting. It still doesn't have to rock your entire world, but we do sometimes hold on to the energy of those situations. So it's good to let all of that go and to clear your energy before you go to bed so that you can assure that you will have a good night's sleep. And those are important things that I learned how to do. When I took this class, it talked about setting your intentions for starting your morning, starting your evening, also saying mantras to help you, having a vision board, getting clear about what you want, all of the things that I talk about sometimes on the podcast, but it goes very deeply into this. And as I said, it totally changed my life. And my family, people around me, they were like, what did you do differently? Like, you just look different, you look happy. And I hadn't looked happy before. I was walking around through life looking like I had the weight of the entire world on my shoulders, because I did. I was taking everything that was happening to me personally. I was in that nothing is fair, everything always happens to me mindset. And I'm not going to tell you that I don't ever go back there sometimes, but I've learned now how to catch myself and to snap out of it, because I don't want to be in that victim mentality. It's not a fun place to be. It is not going to do anything positive for me. Just like continuing on this negative cycle with your thinking is not going to do anything positive. And if you're like me, I would have an hour drive home. So I would sit in the car and think about all of the things that could happen. What if I do this and then this happens? And the truth is, I can't predict what's going to happen in my life. I don't know. I can't predict my own future. But I can tell you that I do have the ability to influence my future through my thoughts. So if I constantly allow myself to be in a frame of mind of fear, then I'm holding myself back. Because if I'm fearful about what's going to happen to me or in my life, then I'm never going to take a risk. I'm going to stay where I am because that's what I know. It's what keeps me safe. I can't get hurt if I don't take risks. So what things are you keeping yourself stuck in? What patterns of thought? Because you're too afraid to change, or you're just not understanding that you're doing it. Because I think a lot of people really, they have these negative mindsets, but they don't realize it. Like, it's just a habit for them. It's so ingrained because if you were raised with someone who thought negatively, then you just pick up on that. I know sometimes we will be sitting somewhere and my mom will say something and I just think to myself, oh my gosh, like, that's where it came from. You know? And I'm not blaming my mom because obviously she had to have gotten it from her parents too. It's not something we just pick up by accident. We aren't naturally inclined to be negative. That's not something that's born in us. It's something we learn. It's all of the conditions that we've taken on from our family members, from society, from everywhere. And it's just the way that we've been taught, and we have to unlearn. It's about unlearning all of the crap that we've learned that doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve you. When you sit and you constantly get into that negative mindset, nothing ever goes my way, I'm always a victim, people are always taking advantage of me, it isn't fair. You think about that. How many times do you say that to yourself? When you start feeling that way, that should automatically be a clue. Okay, you've got to stop this. Because sitting there and saying everyone takes advantage of me, okay, well, you recognize it, but you're not doing anything about it, so that's your fault. And I don't want to be harsh, but when we sit there, and I've talked to a lot of people who will do this, they'll say, I know that I'm this way or I'm that way, and then they don't do a thing to change it. Then it's your fault. As an adult, no matter how we were raised, because some people were not raised in the best situations, but when you become an adult, it's absolutely your responsibility to fix it. And there's so many free tools out there that you can use to help you. And there's so many programs, like this program that I did, which A Purposeful Pilgrimage is modeled after. It helped in more ways than I can even imagine. And I've had people who have taken my program who've reached out to me and said, I cannot believe I waited so long to take this. This has helped in so many ways. Thank you. And I know that it has because I know what that program did for me. It changed everything about my life. Everything. From the way that I thought about things to the way that I had my day set up. How I started my day, how I ended my day, what I did during the day. It made me become more mindful and more aware of what was happening around me, because all too often we get stuck in the past and in the future. But we should be living in the present. That's where our peace is. And this program is a way to help you learn how to do that, how to stay focused in the present. There's so many things that we have that are awesome and that we can be grateful for. But then sometimes we get into this, but I have to have more. I have to have this. I have to have that. And we take what we already had that was good in our life for granted. And we may even end up losing that because we just had to think ahead and think about what we needed to have and how things weren't measuring up to the where we thought that they should be at the moment because we were trying to think ahead to the future. So many people really, really make huge mistakes by trying to focus on tomorrow instead of what's here in front of you today and appreciating what's in front of you today. And we've all done it, but it's so super important to slow down and just be in the present and be fully in the present. My dad was here visiting the last week because of my aunt, and I truly enjoyed the time that we get to spend with family because unfortunately our lives are busy and we don't all live in the same place, and it really makes you appreciate what you have, that there's still family around that I have that I can still visit. And it made me appreciate the fact that our former generations made these family functions a part of our lives so that we would have this when we grew up. And I don't think we get together as often as they did, unfortunately, but we still have that. And that's something that's worth preserving. And you have the ability to change how you see things by simply changing your mindset. And that's why living fully in the present moment becomes so important, because you have to get good at catching yourself starting to slip into that negative mindset. It's the nagging doubts that pop up that you have to catch. When I would drive an hour to and from work, that is where I caught myself the most. My mind would just drift off and I would start thinking about the bad things that happened in my day or, in the past or whatever. And dwelling on the past, that does not help you. If you're going there, if you're going back to your past to try to heal it, that's one thing. But if you're just constantly going back there and saying, look what happened, this wasn't fair, that's not helpful. And that's influencing your present, whether you know it or not. And again, you're creating your reality by your thoughts. So it's important when you feel yourself going to that place, oh, I'm a victim again, saying stop, and then rewind, delete, because we want to delete those thoughts that aren't serving us and reframing the thoughts. So if you thought things like, everyone always takes advantage of me, say stop, rewind, delete. I always stand up for myself and get exactly what I need. And if you are that type of person that people in your life are taking advantage of you, then you need to work on speaking your truth. That's a big one for a lot of people who have people-pleasing tendencies. They want to make everyone else happy, but to the detriment of themselves. They do get taken advantage of because people will walk over you if you let them. So you have to stand up for yourself. You have to learn to start speaking your truth, and that's another thing that we work on. And I've had to work on with people when they come to me, wanting a session or whatever. That's one of the things we can work on. But you've got to start by paying attention to your thoughts and keeping them positive. Because when we start slipping into that negativity, we're shifting our entire reality, and not for the better. So it's time to pay attention to what you do and to be intentional about how you go about your day. I challenge you to be very mindful and thoughtful of each and every thought that pops into your head and how you allow yourself to either let those thoughts continue coming or to stop them and to reframe them. And sometimes it might even be a good idea to keep a journal of what it is that pops into your head, because that can give you some insight too. Okay, what's the issue? What's going on? Why do I keep having these thoughts? It's also good because you can physically sit down and reframe those thoughts. Your brain can be retrained, but you have to practice. We have to practice retraining the brain not to immediately go to the negative thoughts. You can do it. It just takes work. It takes being aware and observing. And it takes practice. Be gentle on yourself because it is a process. So if you find that you slip backwards, don't beat yourself up. At any moment in your life, you can choose to start again. You can choose a different course at any time. Well, guys, I want to thank you for being with me. I wanted to pull a message for you today before I said goodbye. So the message I pulled for you is from the teachings of Abraham. It says, I can always reach for a thought that feels better. And I love that because that's so true. At any moment when you're thinking things that don't serve you, you can always reach for a different thought. You can always change your thought at any time. So I love that. Well, I want to thank you for being with me today. And if you loved this podcast, you can share it with others. That helps me to spread my message of healing. You can subscribe to the podcast. That helps others find me. It also lets you know when there's a new episode. And you can leave a review on wherever you're listening or stars on iTunes. That helps others find me too if my rating is up. And I really appreciate those of you who've taken the time to do that. Also, if you are interested in making a donation to my channel, I don't make any money making this podcast, but it is a lot of work and energy, and I do love doing it. But if you feel so inclined and would like to make a donation to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. Of course, you do not have to, but the method for making a donation is in the description to my podcast, as well as all of my contact information, how you can get a hold of me, how you can follow me on social media. Every Monday at 5:30 Central, I do a live on Facebook where I do a free card reading, so you can join me there. And you can always go there and catch the lives that you've missed in the past. They're always fun to watch. If you want to work with me, you can simply reach out to me. You can email me, you can text me, you can contact me through Facebook or Instagram. Any way you want to get a hold of me is fine. You can go to my website. The description is, and the web address is in the description to the podcast if you'd like to just check out what I offer. You can sign up for a purposeful pilgrimage there or any of the services that I offer. You can find out more information. You can find out more information about my upcoming Usui Reiki course. Love to see you all there. I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like a free morning and evening meditation, simply go to my website and subscribe. When you do, you will receive the free morning and evening meditation as my gift to you. I want to thank you all for being with me. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you soon.